Welcome to FBB Forum. My name is David, and this podcast is dedicated to all the amazing women competing in bodybuilding. If you like this content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow my YouTube and Instagram pages. I'm very excited to welcome the amazing NPC amateur women's athlete, Emma Coate. Is that right for pronunciation?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
cool. I'll make sure to the podcast. Emma last competed at the 2024 North Americans, where she placed fourth in Class A. And then in 2023, she competed at the NPC Nationals and the NPC Atlantic Coast. And she actually took a long break from competing between 2015 and 2023. And we'll discuss a little bit more about the reasons behind the break. Emma's working with a really amazing coach too, Justin Jacoby. And I think you have a really bright future in the sport. So stay tuned to find out more about where she'll be competing next. Welcome, Emma. It's nice to meet you.
Thanks so much for having me, David. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much. Before I forget, because I didn't incorporate it into my questions, you mentioned about on Instagram about getting your arm injured, right?
Yeah, yeah. Last week at this point, I made the mistake of going rock climbing with some friends, caving to some peer pressure, and I managed to dislocate my arm doing some light bouldering. So I'm a little out of commission for the moment, but it's not a serious setback.
Oh no, I'm so sorry that happened though. But yeah, maybe live and learn kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a good object lesson in the fact that functional performance and physical strength are not necessarily correlated, especially if you're training in a more bodybuilding context. I am very careful when I train my shoulders, usually to keep things on a even plane, single joint motions, things like this, which is great for building mass and not getting injured during training, but not really good for building functional performance and strength for things like rock climbing. But so we live and learn.
Yeah, I got you. Did you actually dislocate it when you were up on the wall or when you fell? Or
Yeah, when I was up on the wall, I
oh,
heard it pop out, and it was
oh,
it was crazy. Yeah.
oh no. Did somebody help you like pop it back in, or you have to go to see the doctor?
No, actually, the climbing gym was cautious enough to call paramedics to come check me out because they weren't sure if I fell off the wall or injured myself when I landed. But they couldn't diagnose the dislocation at that point in time, which is strange. But that's what happened. So it was dislocated till I got home, looked in a mirror, and just sort of noticed, oh, things aren't quite the way they should be. And so I wiggled it back into place myself.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. I bet it was painful though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't recommend dislocating your shoulder if you can at all help it. But if you do, just know that once you get it back into place, you get instant relief. It's so much better. It'll still hurt, but it's not the rest of your life. Don't worry.
That's good. Yeah, that's good point. Yeah, for folks listening in. So but yeah, bodybuilders gotta be careful with rock climbing. That's a good object lesson too.
For sure, for sure.
So I wanted to ask about how you got started in bodybuilding, and I was curious if you had an athletic or a sports background before you started competing in the sport.
Yeah, yeah. I'm from a very athletic family. I've been involved in sports of some kind or another for my entire life.
Hmm.
Before bodybuilding, I was an avid tennis player and a track and cross country athlete, doing distance running, which is a little counterintuitive, but gave me some grit to get through some nasty cardio sessions. And beyond tennis and cross country, I also did a good amount of martial arts before I picked up bodybuilding. That was sort of like my prelude into it.
Hmm.
I trained kickboxing and Muay Thai. Then I became a little risk averse in terms of concussions and things like that, and ended up spending more and more time in the weight room, and that's how I got into bodybuilding.
That's terrific. Wow. Did you ever with the martial arts, did you do more kind of lifestyle stuff, or did you compete in it too?
I never got around to competing in it. It was sort of a hybrid of lifestyle type training, self defense training. It's also how I helped put myself through college, just training or teaching classes and things like that.
Oh, that's really cool. That's great. Yeah. I bet you that your background probably helped you kind of get the discipline you needed to be good in bodybuilding too, I bet.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's very, very true. I think aspect, particularly of martial arts, that has been incredibly helpful is really cultivates a sense of body awareness and thinking about exactly how your limbs are moving and why they're moving. Because it's easy to throw a punch, but it's pretty hard to throw a good punch. And you sort of build that awareness that everything is generated from the core and projects outwards from there, which is great to keep in mind for compound movements, and also important to think about isolating when you're working accessory groups as well.
That's great. That's really cool. Yeah, but that's a big advantage, I think, that to have that experience. Now, in terms of getting started in competing in bodybuilding, how did you get started that way?
I actually got into it because of my college freshman year roommate. We were very, very active. We did sports together when we were rooming together. And then at the end of freshman year, we parted ways. We spent a summer apart. And then when the subsequent year convened, we met up, and she said, "Hey, I started bodybuilding. Do you want to come to the weight room with me and have like a bodybuilding workout? Do that together." And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And she kicked my ass, and I got hooked. My God, this is incredible. I have to keep doing this. This is difficult in a way that like a very, very specific way. Not that other sports are easier. It's a different sort of exertion. And I really fell in love with it.
That's terrific. Does she still compete too?
She doesn't. She does strength sports occasionally, but she has other life priorities for the moment.
I understand. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool though, that y'all started bodybuilding together and stuff. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I was curious, for your first show, which division did you do for your first show?
I did figure.
Figure. Oh, cool.
Yeah, bikini. There's just no way I'm ever going to be a bikini girl. I could have ever been a bikini girl. It's just not quite my aesthetic, and I don't think my body is well suited for it. So I decided to go for figure right away. And I definitely came into that show a bit under muscled compared to my other competitors, but it was a great learning experience, and I'm glad I did it when I did.
That's great. And now you're doing women's physique now, right?
Correct.
Yeah, you ditched them heels.
Absolutely. You get to do some fun posing now.
Yeah, that's true. The posing is cool. I like that. Was it kind of nerve-wracking for you to get up on stage in a bikini for the first show? Were you nervous?
So about getting on stage, like in the moment, no, I wasn't. I was too tired and hungry to really care. And I'm like, I've, trained my butt off for 8 months getting to this point, and by God, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to get up there and everything's going to be fine. Though I will say I was really nervous for the spray tan, because I'm a very fair skinned individual. Tanning is not my thing. I had never done a spray tan. I spent hours researching like what to expect, how to prepare for it. And I was still so nervous going in for it.
Yeah, I think that would be weird too, because you're basically naked too, and so you gotta it'd just be weird, you just have to trust the people who are spraying you or whatever. So
yeah, I think that was one of the biggest lessons I took away from my first show is especially about the tanning, don't worry about it. They're professionals. Just follow their instructions and do the prep work, and you will be good. They will take care of you.
Yeah. And that, for folks who don't know, it is a pretty damn dark tan. It's just a real tan, yeah.
Yeah, I think my first time getting spray tan, my family did not recognize me after.
That is kind of funny though. Yeah, no, I can see that. But you need it for the lights. The lights are so bright. So
absolutely. Darker is better. You can't be dark enough. I always try to, this is, I guess, a piece of advice for anyone else fair skin who's thinking about competing and hasn't gone through the spray tanning process. Book your appointment earlier in the day, because if they think you're too light, they will give you extra coats of tan, but you need time to let it set.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you have to come back to get extra coat. Yeah. And even the black women get tan too. So I was surprised when I learned that. I was like, why do they need tan? But it makes sense, because they need to get even a little darker too, So.
Yeah, and it's about the depth of color. It's about the evenness of skin tone, and also the spray tan itself. Like, it's not absorbed into your skin; it's sitting on the surface. So it's providing a little bit of like reflectance and luminosity that really helps bring out the detail in your body.
And you got to bring black sheets, right, for your hotel bed. Yeah.
Yeah. I have another hot tip on that. You can get at any camping store, they have like sleeping bag liners, which are either cotton or like a cotton nylon blend. Cotton's good for breathability, of course.
Okay.
But they're basically like just inner linings of sleeping bags. So they're very, very light and easy to pack up. And then to sleep with the tent on, you can just zip yourself up into that, and you'll
Oh,
protect the hotel facilities.
yeah. So you don't have to pay for the sheets that way.
And also, you don't want to give the cleaning people any more work than they already have to do.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Um, I was curious, what was your experience like at North Americans last year? And I know we talked about where you placed, but tell us again
Mhm.
where you placed there.
I placed fourth in women's A for women's physique at North Americans in 2024.
Did you have a good experience there?
Yeah. I was definitely disappointed with my showing overall, but not surprised. I had issues dialing in my conditioning the last month of prep.
Yeah.
But I definitely learned a lot of lessons, and I'm excited to give it another shot. But my overall experience at North Americans was super, super positive. My there were the first shows I competed in. I competed in shows organized by Gary Uden. He does a really great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just takes really, or he ensures athletes are really well taken care of. And you can tell he loves the sport and he gives a lot to it.
That's what I've heard. Yuta does a really good job, I've heard. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's and would you say was there kind of like a strong kind of iron sisterhood there at North Americans?
Absolutely. I can say in or speaking for my division, women's physique, it's such a positive and welcoming experience backstage.
Great. Yeah.
I think that can be probably something very very nerve wracking for people too if they haven't done it before. But no competitions really are very 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 won or lost backstage, or the day of competition. You've been prepping it for how long, and so has everybody else. All that's left to do is to get on stage and show off what you've done. And I think when you come in with that perspective, it's a really fun environment. You get to see hard work that a lot of people have put in. You get to share experiences with people with similar values, and that's an exciting thing.
That's really nice. Yeah, I like that too. And yeah, I do find that the women seem to get along pretty well backstage this year. Um, whereas maybe the men are more competitive or more standoffish, but
I believe that.
yeah. No, that's very cool. And yeah, I saw the pictures of you at North Americans, and you have really good shape and structure, but yeah, I could see maybe a little bit more conditioning. Yeah.
Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, the conditioning, this or 2024 as 2023, I had a consistent approach with a different coach I was working with, that always seemed to work really, really well right up until the last month, and then I'd sort of stall out and we'd be too slow to react. But I have a different approach now, and my approach is letting my coach do the work and just doing what I'm told. So I'm excited to see how it plays out next time around.
I know Justin's had a lot of women with pro cards too, so that he's been
Yeah,
really successful.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and he's still working with some good pros too. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's great. Yeah. Now in 2023, you competed at the Nationals and the Atlantic Coast. And I was curious, what was your experience like at those shows, and how did you place at those shows too?
Yeah. So starting with the earlier show, my national qualifier at uh, NPC Atlantic Coast. That was a fantastic show. Super, super great experience. Took place in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is near where my family's from. So I got to have a vacation in the warm, and also got to experience some really great family support. So that was a wonderful experience. At that show, I took first overall in women's physique, and that's how I earned my national qualifier, which
Nice.
I then used to compete at nationals in Texas that December.
Okay.
And that was a snap decision. I got some very positive feedback from the judges at the first show, and heard the main point of feedback was just tighten up conditioning, then go for a national. I'm like, oh, I can do that in 18 days. I can do it in 18 days. I made myself very sick.
Oh
Or
no,
I
no.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sort of similar situation as now. I caught a really nasty cold um, right at the start of peak week, and
Oh no.
just
Yeah.
pushed on through. So I had to pull out of that show actually between prejudging and finals.
Oh, you did? Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
So
God.
so that was a huge bummer, but I it was also a good lesson learned. I just pushed my body too far, and to get to the level of conditioning that I needed for that, needed to start earlier and just go low and slow.
I got you. I understand. Yeah. And that shows in December, and there's always a lot of
Mhm.
germs floating around in December, So yeah, might have even got on the plane or something, maybe.
Maybe that's very likely, but live and learn. It's what happens.
Yeah, I got you. I understand. I went to the Atlantic Coast this past year, but
Oh,
um
nice, nice.
I missed most of the show, or
Mm,
I missed part of the show because I had to get back home for work. But
mm,
it's a great show, and it's the second time I've
mhm.
been there. But it is a really good
Oh,
show.
great, yeah.
Yeah. And it was a little chaotic because the convention center was under construction, and
Ooh, okay, yeah.
they had the cruise ships in there too, so it's hard to like find
That's
parking,
tough.
and
That's 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 really tough.
the lines of cars are ridiculous trying to get in
Mhm,
there. So
mhm.
all these people driving in for cruise ships. So
Yeah, yeah. It's a very cool venue, and like that Lauderdale Beach area is really nice to visit. But man, the traffic infrastructure leaves a little to be desired when it's over capacity.
oh, it's so bad in South Florida. Yeah, I'm in Tampa. Traffic's not
Mm,
quite as bad, but yeah,
mhm,
it's yucky down there. But
mhm,
but no,
true.
Tim Gardner does a good job with the show, I think, and as a choreographer.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It just that show I felt was so well organized. They kept us so well informed about timing and preparation windows before you go on stage. And they did a great job.
that's terrific. That's great. Now I'm glad to hear that. Now I know from when we before we started recording, you're not really sure where you're going to compete next, but
Mhm.
where would you ideally like to compete?
Ideally, uh, again, provided my shoulder heals in the appropriate time frame, I'd love to do North Americans again this year,
Oh, cool.
and really pull out that pro card. Pittsburgh is a very very special city to me. It's my hometown, um, and I have a lot of other family in the area as well. So it's a just an ideal competition environment
Is
for
that
me.
do you still live in Pittsburgh?
I don't. I'm a few states away now in Detroit.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you had mentioned that to me before. I
Mm.
forgot. Yeah, but you're relatively close though, so
Yeah, yeah. It's a pretty easy drive.
yeah, that's not bad. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's cold up there though. Jeez. I've always lived in Florida, so I don't
Mm.
know what it's like to live in snow.
Well, fortunately, spring is starting to finally feel like it's here. So that means we'll probably have another one or two decent snows before it really clears up.
Oh, that's not too bad. Yeah.
No, no, no.
Now, we talked a little bit about before we started recording, but in terms of taking an extended break from bodybuilding from 2015 to 2023, why did you decide to take such a long break?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the question. So I started bodybuilding when I was in college, and when I picked it up, it became a very useful tool for the organization of my life because I'm the sort of person who really needs structure in my life, and in college that can be very hard to find. So bodybuilding provided me a really great framework to organize my life around.
Mhm.
However, after I graduated, I realized I needed to shuffle my priorities a bit and focus a little bit more on starting my career outside of bodybuilding and getting my life sort of pointed in the trajectory, pardon me, in the trajectory that I wanted. And I knew I had to feel secure in that before I could think about getting on stage again.
I understand. Yeah, that's cool. What do you do for career?
Well, I actually just left my previous job and am in preparation to start my next. But I'm a systems engineer, and in my prior career, I worked on automotive embedded systems, doing automotive work here in Detroit.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. Very cool. Yeah, that's a good career to have too, because it's pretty well paid and a lot of demand for never gonna go without work, I think.
That's the hope. That's the hope, and it's very satisfying work, and it's interesting. I find a lot of overlap in sort of a systems engineering approaches and that are things that are common between the engineering itself and bodybuilding, which I think says more about how my brain is structured than it does about either of the two disciplines. But if I find transferable skills, it's only to my benefit. So I'm all for it.
I like that. No, and it makes sense. I could see some transferable skills there too. And certainly the discipline and time management, all that good stuff that goes
Certainly.
with bodybuilding, I think, because that's um and just dedication too. So yeah, that's not easy to be a bodybuilder, I know.
No.
Now I was curious, I was surprised that you were class A because but I can never tell like how tall people are in pictures. But how tall are you and what was your stage weight at North Americans
So
last year?
on a good day, I'm 5'2". I'm between 5'1" and 5'2", more accurately.
Okay.
Um, I've definitely heard that a lot from people that, oh, you look so. I'm sorry, rolling this back. I remember meeting a friend I met, or a friend I made online, meeting her in person for the first time, and the first thing she says to me is, "Wow, you're so much shorter than I expected."
Uh-huh.
And I attribute that to the fact that I have a very small head, and so it makes the rest of me look much bigger by comparison.
Oh, I see.
So I use that to my advantage on stage. It's bodybuilding is one of the only sports where it's really great to be short and sort of square.
Yeah.
So I get that working for my benefit. And to answer your second question, my stage weight at North Americans last year was 141 and a bit.
Wow, very cool. Yeah. Yeah, you look really good. And yeah, I really thought you were taller than that. But like I said, bodybuilding does kind of provide the illusion of height to
Mm,
it, so
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah. That's funny what you said about small head too. But that makes
All
sense.
about perspective.
Yeah, it's all about perspective. That's true.
Mhm.
Um, Now I was curious, did the judges last year give you any feedback on where you need to improve your physique and your presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing, very predictable, it's conditioning.
Yeah.
Conditioning. I got very positive feedback on my size and my muscular development. So anything that or any more work we put in between the past show and the next one is just icing on the cake. But it's really going to come down to um, being very aware of my progress through prep and how my conditioning is progressing. So I'm very glad to have Justin in my corner to help me keep an eye on that.
And you said this is your first year working with Justin?
Yes, yes.
Oh, good.
We started together right after North Americans last year.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So he's got have a full year with you to
Mm-hmm.
work with you. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think he usually brings his athletes in really well conditioned, I think.
Yes, yeah, and that is one of the things that stood out to me most about his portfolio when we first started talking.
That's terrific. That's really cool. Yeah. I'm excited for you. So
Thank you.
hope you get your pro card this year. That'd be awesome.
That's what we're going for.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Mm.
Now I was curious, what do you think is your best muscle group and what do you think needs
Mm.
the most improvement?
That's a really interesting question. So if you asked me this question 6 months ago, I would have said my back. However, I think I've developed my legs pretty substantially in the past 8 months, I'd say. And I don't know if they're my best muscle group, but I'm super proud of the development that has gone into my quads and my hands. So they're my favorite for now.
That's
And
terrific.
as for the group that I think needs the most development, just upper body thickness, like through the upper back, is a place I think I could definitely stand to improve between now and when I step on stage next.
Okay, terrific. Yeah. Some of the most recent shots you did, your back did look really good though. You had like a kind of a nice V taper and nice
Thank
lats.
you. That's I got to thank Justin for that. That's back twice a week for the since September.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good. And your legs
Yep.
do look better too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. That's terrific. Is he having you do like more pulls and that kind of thing?
For sure.
Yeah. That's terrific. Yeah, you look great.
Thank you.
And yeah, definitely I can see improvements over where you looked for North Americans, I think, in terms of your structure. So
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I was curious in terms of what would you say makes Justin a good coach? Because he's just I've had so much good feedback about him, from other people.
So his greatest strength is his communication with his athletes. Any question you have, any uncertainty you have, if you communicate with him, he will answer it very sincerely and very informatively.
Mhm.
He's super invested in making sure that you as the athlete have all the information that you need to succeed in what you're going after. And that's really I think that's a difficult thing to do as a coach, especially when you're training so many people. But
Yeah,
he handles it so well, and um, I always feel very heard, and I always have the assurance that he considers any of my questions, comments, or general feedback very seriously.
that's great. I've actually heard that from other folks about him, and
I believe it.
he really seems to care about his clients and
Mm-hmm.
takes the time to make sure that you're doing well, not just physically, but I think even like mental wellness, and
Yeah,
he's aware of
absolutely.
that. Yeah, which I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, I didn't. Yeah, and that the mental wellness side of things is so important, especially when you start going into prep, because you're going to start off feeling pretty good, and the good days are going to get shorter and shorter and shorter,
yeah,
and it can be hard to suss out what's normal mood degradation and what is like a warning sign of other things. And so having good rapport with your coach and having a solid baseline where they know what they should be expecting from you on a normal day, so they can judge normal from abnormal is so important.
that's great. Yeah, no, I think that's good. That was a good move for you to work with him, I think. And yeah,
I agree. I'm so happy I did it.
I was curious. Do you have a posing coach too?
Yeah, yeah. I work with KJ Center Stage.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
with
yeah,
Christina and
yeah,
Jose. Yeah,
yeah. Christina's the best in the business, so it's hard to go anywhere else.
that's terrific. Yeah, she's amazing. I've talked with some
Hmm.
of her clients, and it's kind of cool watching her when she's actually working with her clients and
Hmm.
instructing them on how to maximize, your best look or your best how to twist and that kind of thing. So that's great.
Hmm. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's so amazing too as a competitor,
Oh
somebody
my
to look
gosh.
up to. Yeah. That's terrific. I'm glad that you got to work with her. Did you ever get to go out to Vegas to work with her in person?
Not yet, not yet. So next time I find myself on that side of the country, I'll make an effort to get it done.
That's awesome. Yeah. Um, I was curious, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of prep for you?
Oh, absolutely. Sort of alluding back to a prior answer, it's the mood. It's the mood. It's because you can deal with hunger, you can deal with low energy, you can deal with less and less free time, more and more time spent in the gym, on the bike, doing all the things that you need to do to be successful. But when your mood starts to slip and your normal starts to feel bad, and you start to become very intolerant about all the other little things in your life. That's definitely the most difficult part.
Yeah, I understand that. I can imagine myself if I had tried it, just being really irritable, and not nice to people
Mhm.
probably.
Yeah, it's so tough, and that's one of my big self improvement goals for next prep is to be more mindful about myself and to enjoy the process a bit more, because it's
Yeah,
easy to enjoy the process when things are going well. It's harder to enjoy the process when they're not, and it's okay not to enjoy everything in the process, but it's also important to know that it's not everything in your life, and that it's something that's built on the foundations of the rest of your life. So if you ensure you have solid foundations on that front, it's going to support you in the actual execution work of the bodybuilding.
that's a good point. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. No, yeah, no, I think it seems like you have a good head on your shoulders to, really think this kind of stuff through too, which is good.
Easy for me to talk about this now. Ask me, 8 weeks out, and then my answers will probably be different.
Yeah, I understand. No, I understand that. I was curious, what advice can you give to ladies who are looking for a good coach, since you have competed for a while now?
Find somebody you trust. That's
Hmm.
that's the only way you're going to be successful. If and don't be afraid to try out a coach, and if things aren't gelling within the first couple of weeks, the first month or so, it's okay to move on. It doesn't reflect poorly on either of you,
Hmm.
because coaching is so much about communication. Communication is a three-part thing, right? There's the person sending the message, the person receiving the message, and the message itself. And if
Hmm.
any one of those things is out of line, your communication is going to be suboptimal.
Yeah.
So it's it's important to trust your instincts and bear that in mind, and know that a coach that works for somebody won't necessarily work for you the same way.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's the best piece of advice I could give.
That's good advice, actually. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Communication is key for sure, I think. Yeah. And that trust is very important, you know. I've heard from a lot of ladies who say they get really irritated with prior coaches that were just kind of cookie cutter and really they maybe had too many clients too, and that
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't devote enough time to them, and there wasn't any value there, you know, because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a very common thing in the industry. It's very hard to suss out, especially when you're just starting out. It can be quite challenging to suss out a program that's very considerate and well adapted for you, and changes as your needs change,
Mhm.
versus as you said, a more cookie cutter program.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It doesn't hurt to talk to other clients of that person too, to kind of get,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
get some
Again,
advice.
communication is key, and it's you're your own best advocate. So interviewing with other clients, and connecting, via social media makes it so easy, but connecting with them, building support groups are important for determining whether or not a coach is a good fit for you. And it's also super helpful as you go into prep, as things get harder, to be at least digitally surrounding yourself with people who will support you.
Yeah, that's true. That's really important for sure. Yeah.
It's the fun
Um,
part too.
yeah, yeah. Um, Now we talked a little bit about your work as a systems
Mm-hmm.
engineer. I was curious if do your coworkers and your boss support your bodybuilding efforts?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's always an interesting thing to start talking about, and it's always interesting because a coworker will come in and say like, "Oh, I went to this gym a couple times. I think I'm gonna like start going to the gym more regularly. What advice can you give me?"
Oh,
And I'm
no.
like, "Oh, that's wonderful, super supportive." And then I'm like, I have to mediate my response. Start broad, and then go deep. Don't give people information they're not ready for.
Yeah.
Um,
Good point.
and
Yeah.
just try to answer questions as they arise. But yeah, everyone in my professional life is very supportive.
Have your coworkers ever come to root for you at a show?
No, no.
No? Oh, just curious. Yeah. That'd be kind of cool though to get
Yeah,
some
for sure.
coworkers yelling for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A louder cheering section is only a benefit. So
Oh yeah. No, definitely. I know that's very true. Now I was curious, do you have a husband or a boyfriend?
yeah. I have a partner. My partner Don. We've been together for 12 years.
Great.
Um, I met him shortly before I started bodybuilding. Um, so he's seen the whole transformation.
Is he a bodybuilder too?
No, he's not, though he is a competitive grappler. He does jujitsu.
Oh, really? Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Really? That's really cool. Wow.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Wow.
So
That's really,
so he's very supportive of my competitive endeavors, and does everything he can to to support me and facilitate my competitions, and I do the same for him.
wow. Has he done any like UFC competitions? Just out of curiosity, or?
No, though he did compete at in 2024 at the Arnold Sports Festival,
Oh,
in their grappling events.
really? Oh, that's so
Mhm.
cool. Wow, that's neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when UFC was first getting kind of
Mm-hmm.
popular and the Gracie family just kind of
Mm-hmm.
dominated because they had the jujitsu, you know, techniques, and
Mm-hmm.
they just knew how to take people down and then make them submit quickly, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, with you don't necessarily have to be like big and muscular either. You just have to know what
No.
you're doing, and you know the pressure points and the, you know,
Yeah.
how to take them down and everything. Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is a really great sport. I love watching it so much, even though my technical knowledge in it is definitely lacking. It's always so interesting to watch because you see people of all sorts of different body types and body shapes competing against each other, And, just looking at two people as they step into the ring, somebody might be pretty big and bulky and like stocky. The other person will be very lanky and slender. They'll be about, or they're falling in the same weight class, but you have no idea who's having or who will have the advantage until they actually start and you see how their repertoires match up against each other.
Yeah, that's true. I remember the Gracies would take down some big dudes. They'd be like,
Hmm.
just take them down
Hmm.
in like seconds. Like, wow,
Hmm.
it's amazing. But I think that's where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu got really popular there after a while. And
Definitely.
that's so cool. Wow, neat. Now I know you said you lived in Detroit, and
Mhm.
would you say do you have like a strong bodybuilding community there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Detroit's a great town for bodybuilding. We have the return of the Detroit Pro, which is just a fantastic time, and a super cool event.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Yeah.
and of course, I mean, we have Andrea Shaw. So she runs, or through the competition season, she'll run posing seminars and posing clinics out of her gym in Madison Heights.
Oh,
And
nice.
so if you're in the Detroit area and you're prepping for a show, go to those. They're so good. You'll meet some amazing people and you'll get some really great posing instruction.
Oh,
And you get
yeah.
to hang out with Dre. She's amazing. So
Yeah, she's kind of a legend in the sport, and yeah, Miss
with good
Olympia,
reason.
what, five-time Miss Olympia now, I think, or six?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, five. Yeah, she's amazing. She really is. That's great. Yeah, she's and yeah, definitely nice to have Miss Olympia in your backyard like that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's terrific. You got to meet her before?
Yeah, yeah. I've been to a couple of her posing clinics, and I've seen her at her gym a few times.
I got to meet her at the Triple O Dynasty last year,
Nice,
which she
nice.
helps promote, and yeah, she's
Hmm.
super sweet, and
Hmm.
yeah, kind of like tongue tied around her, like because
Yeah, she's so cool. She's so down to earth,
she is,
and just so kind.
but she's so stunning too. It's like
Hmm.
I couldn't talk. No, she's awesome though. That's terrific. Yeah, I would think being in a cold place like that maybe it's an advantage because um you may maybe spend more time at the gym because it's so freaking cold outside, you know.
Maybe, maybe. So especially if you are in prep when it is cold, if you're lean enough, there's nothing you can do to get warm enough, and that's tough. That's
Oh
really tough.
yeah. Oh, that's true because you're so lean and don't have much fat
Hmm.
insulation kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I like Florida, but although I don't like the hurricanes and the insurance and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely prohibitive. I can say in Detroit in the spring and the fall, I think it's one of the prettiest places in the country. Which, hey, maybe that's a controversial opinion, but come to Detroit in those seasons and hang out in my neighborhood, and your mind will change.
Oh, I
Um,
bet it's pretty
so,
there. Yeah, and the weather's a lot better too.
mm, for sure. Well, usually.
You said only one or two more snows, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just started warming up. I think it'll be in the 50s today, and it'll be sunny, which will be amazing. I'm definitely gonna spend some time outside. But it's pretty typical as winter starts to break, as you transition to spring, you'll get another couple just sort of like last of the season snows, which are usually fairly mild and they're very pretty.
Oh
So I'm
yeah,
looking forward to
that,
it. Mhm.
yeah. I do like snowy areas. It is pretty to visit and stuff. And so yeah.
Till you have to shovel a driveway.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. And people get heart attacks and stuff doing that kind of shit. Um, you mentioned your parents earlier, but do your parents and bodybuilders, I mean, your parents and siblings, do they support your bodybuilding efforts?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Whenever I'm competing in Florida, they're there supporting me, um, and they're just very encouraging, and they like to see me doing things I love, and I love bodybuilding. So.
That's great. I heard from a lot of folks whose parents don't support them, you know, or they
Mm,
think they don't really understand it. So that's good to have that support from them is
mm.
nice. I bet.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate on that front.
That's terrific. Yeah. And I was curious, do you have any kids?
I do not.
No? Oh, okay, cool. Are you interested in having kids later?
Not so much. I don't really see myself in that role, though I will say my brother and sister-in-law just welcomed the birth of their first child, my nephew, and
Wow.
I'm very excited about being an aunt.
Oh, very cool. That's sweet. Yeah, I understand. Um, yeah, I think I know sometimes the ladies have to take a break from bodybuilding if they want to have kids because it's because of the regimen and the hormones and everything. So no, that's cool though. Yeah, yeah, definitely enjoy your nephew that because the kids are so cute. You know, I love kids.
Absolutely.
I just have a few more questions for you. I was curious, what do you think is maybe the most misunderstood aspect of bodybuilding by the general public?
Oh, the fact that it's your whole life when you're doing it.
Yeah.
Just how, it's not that you can't be a person outside of it. It's just that bodybuilding is so much more than a hobby if you're taking it seriously.
Hmm.
It's just like the foundation, or not. Okay, I'm using the same metaphor but reverse. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit. But bodybuilding really sort of has to be the underlying framework of all the other things that you do in your life. They all
Yeah.
have to sort of like be in agreement. There's no weekend warrioring that will ever get you where you need to be. So you really need
Mhm.
to commit and to sacrifice things you want less for things you want more.
And it's an all-in kind of thing. Yeah, definitely. And even there's not a lot of money in it too. So I think
Nope,
most women, I think, have to, even the pros have to work a regular job too to just pay the bills
definitely.
and be able to afford to compete and everything too.
Definitely, and that I think is a really surprising thing for people to hear too. But
Yeah.
it just reinforces that, or at least for me, that my participation rather in bodybuilding is a passion project. It's something I do for me and me alone, and I'm glad, that other people are along for the ride and other people get something out of my experience. But fundamentally, if I didn't love doing it, I wouldn't do it.
Sure. Oh yeah, no, yeah, you gotta love it and yeah, definitely.
For sure, for
Um
sure.
now as I mentioned, it is an expensive sport. Do you ever struggle to afford what you need to compete, or is it tough on you? Or, but at least your profession is pretty well paid too. So
Mhm. Yeah, and saying it again, I am very fortunate in that front. Of course, yeah, as you say, competing isn't cheap, prep isn't cheap, but it's I am fortunate enough to have a career where I can support myself doing this, and I'm very very grateful for that.
that's terrific. Yeah, that is really good. Yeah, I think it's tough uh, for certain people to be able to afford to do it, and maybe they end up having to drop out because they can't necessarily afford it. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's good that you're in a good position right now. So
Hmm.
yeah. Um, I was curious, have you ever encountered like many overbearing fans? Because I know sometimes the fans need to behave and refrain from some of the weird shit that they do, you know?
Yeah, I can't say I've ever had a negative response. I mean, I don't think I'm at the level of notoriety or exposure where I'd ever really encounter a fan in real life who I didn't know from or who I didn't know personally, I guess.
Okay.
So yeah, I've haven't encountered that
That's a good thing though. That's good.
for
And
sure.
not you'd have to deal with trolls much on social media or anything like that, or
Well, okay, so framing it like that, certainly, but I think that's true for everybody online, regardless of what you're doing.
yeah.
And it's not your responsibility to make people happy, and that's it is what it is. You can always, especially if it is online, you can always just ignore it.
Yeah, that's true. And you can block
Mm.
them. That block button is a good
Yeah,
one.
it's fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, there's some nasty people out there and just, they got whatever issues they got going on, but yeah, block them is good.
Hmm. It's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I was wondering if there's anything I missed that you'd like to address or anybody you'd like to shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a combo on those two things. But I'd first like to shout out the Twitch fitness community, the streaming service Twitch. There's a smaller but growing community of people streaming their workouts, bodybuilding content, powerlifting content, general strength sports. Um, and we're a pretty small, tight knit community, but we have a ton of fun streaming. My partner and I run the account Twitch lists. We haven't streamed in a very long time as we've been resolving some really nasty equipment and schedule issues. But the good news is, I think, fingers crossed, we have that all sorted out, and we should begin streaming again twice a week starting next week.
Okay.
And so you can find that at twitch.tv/twitchlifts to come work out with us. And sort of in a similar vein, I'd like to shout out some of the great people streaming there, including Miniature Action Jesus, Celty TV, Average Joe's Gym, Ben Rice PGL, and so many others. But yeah, if you or anyone listening / watching wants to see more Emma bodybuilding content, you can find that there.
I'll make sure to include the link down in the
Yeah, please.
comments too, so that people can check it out. Yeah. And I did see you had a link to it on your Instagram, but I hadn't checked it out yet. But I'll definitely make sure to check it out.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, fortunate, or well, I guess you're not missing much right now, as we've been on hiatus for the past couple of months, but we're getting things back in line to start back at it.
These are live streamed?
Yes, they are.
Oh wow. Does it show recordings later too?
Yes, yeah. The recordings are kept for, I think, about a month.
Okay.
But yeah.
Terrific. No, definitely I'll check it out and I'll make sure to mention it. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah. I was curious if you have any sponsors, or are you interested in getting sponsors?
I do not have any sponsors. Of course, who wouldn't be interested in getting sponsors? But to be honest, I haven't given a whole lot of thought to it.
Yeah.
Because I don't, or I know myself well enough to know I can't really do the influencer game. That is just not my speed.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But if I was being honest with myself, I would love to be sponsored by Mutant or something similar. You know, they just have such a big presence in the sport, and I feel like I see them sponsoring all the things I'm into.
Oh,
And
nice.
and I really like their products too. So that would be sort of my dream.
I like at the shows they have the big mutant mascot with
Yeah.
great picture opportunity. That thing is so cool looking, the big red monster thing, whatever it is. It's so cool looking though.
Yeah, their branding is super fun, and I like that they seem like they have a really good time with it.
I was thinking too, like there's a lot of in-kind sponsor opportunities, like the suits, because the suits can be so expensive, and so that sort of thing might be of interest too.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I have to say, I think every suit I've ever competed in has been secondhand, um, and I definitely get a lot of joy of like finding other competitors who are looking to off-road suits and like sharing experiences and stories about them, which I think is a really nice thing too.
That is really cool. Yeah. It's crazy how expensive those damn things are. Even secondhand, they're expensive too. Yeah.
For sure.
But that's a good way to at least save almost half, right? By
Easily, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because I know they can be very, very expensive. So yeah. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do interview with me. I really appreciate it. And would you mind
thanks
doing?
So much.
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks so much for having me on, David. This was truly my pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Emma. I appreciate it. Thank you. Would you mind doing a quick bicep flex for me?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I wouldn't mind, but I will do left only, as right is. I can't really do that just yet, but go.
That's great. Yeah, you look terrific. Yeah, no, I was thinking about your other arm. You can't do it right now.
For now, no. This is great. I'm using this as an opportunity to develop my non-dominant side to match my dominant side. That's what I'm telling people. This is a strategic injury.
Oh, I see. Oh, strategic. Oh man, so? Do you write with your right hand?
I do.
Oh wow, was it hard to write for a while with your injury?
Well, fortunately, my work is very digital first, so typing is okay, but writing is certainly a challenge.
Really? Oh wow, yeah, that's true. Typing, that's true. Yeah, with computers and everything. So, well, thank you so much, Emma. Like I said, I'll probably get this posted later this afternoon or this evening, and I'll tag you, of course. But best wishes to you, and hope get past that injury soon.
Thanks so much, David. This was great.
You're welcome. Thank you. And yeah, best wishes to you.